we want to now add another UI element called a toggle. And the toggle will allow the user to, if we pick a name, we want to remove it from the list. And so to keep track of whether we should remove a name from the list or not, well, let's create another state variable, and we'll call this private var. We'll call it should remove picked name, and we'll set it to false. So here we have a Boolean, which means it's either true or false. And again, because of type inference, we don't have to set the type. Now you could say like this, and then that's perfectly valid, and you've assigned this variable is a type of Boolean and it's equal to false. But when you're using a default value, you set a default value, then the type is inferred from what this value is, and the type false is a Boolean. So that's how that works. All right, let's go down here, and under our divider, let's add a toggle. And a toggle is just toggle, and then the first parameter is text. So we're going to say remove when picked, and then we add a comma, and then we say is on, and we tab and we get autocomplete. And now we bind to a property, and remember, when you are binding to a variable, you're using the $, and we say should remove picked name. So now when this toggle, the value of this toggle is based on whether this is true or false. So when I come over here, now we've set it to true, now we've set it to false. Next, we're going to update the code inside the pick random name so that when we click this button, if this is set to true, then we remove it from the list. Otherwise, we don't remove it from the list. And so down here in our if statement, just after the picked name, we're going to check the value of should remove picked name. So we're going to say if should remove picked name, then it's going to call the following code, and it's going to say names dot remove all, and then we're going to say name in, and we're going to say return, and we're going to run in parentheses name equals random name. Now, let's talk about this. There's a lot going on here. Here we have another method on the array that's called remove all. And what it's going to do is we're passing in a reference to each item in the list, and we're only going to remove the name if it is equal to the random name that we have selected. So what that's saying is, for every one of these items in the array, it's going to check if the current item in the array equals the random name that was selected. If it does, then it's going to remove it. So to see that in action, if I click pick random name, notice that every time it shows up here, it stays the same. But if I toggle this to remove when picked, now when I pick a name, it actually removes it. And if I do that again, it's going to continue to remove it. And I do that again, and hey, now I've removed all my names. If I add a name, I can say Brent, I can say Frank, and now I can pick a name and remove it. If I turn that off, then it'll pick a random name. Of course, there's only one element, but you get the idea. So now we have a toggle that relates to what we do when we click the pick random name button. Let's change the style of this button, and we're going to make a couple of changes to this button here. So at the end of the button, we want to use a property called button style, and we're going to pass in dot bordered prominent. And if you use the arrow keys, you can navigate to it and then you press return. So now we have a prominent bordered button. And then let's add a font. And for the font, we're going to say dot title. And now we have a larger button.